Hi, guys. I'm Moses Dharamella. I am direct managing director at Blackwater Tech, and welcome to this workshop today. I'm excited to share some very interesting findings that popped up on our research so far, some of the clients that we were able to work with, some of the people that we were able to talk to across the industry. Gave us some really valuable information that kind of keeps growing time and again as and when we go through our project journeys. And I wanted to share some of those with you guys, and in case it is of use to everybody and also helps everybody grow. It's a way of for me to give back to the industry that kind of helped me grow so far. So far, just to give you a quick overview, we've successfully delivered about 100 digital transformation projects for our clients, and we constantly see that a clearly defined process around how things are moving, and the industry is rapidly changing, as a result of which processes need to be adapted, processes need to be changed. The best way to do something in the past may not be still relevant. I mean, if you look at it right now, we're looking at the age of AI, as we call it, which is causing a lot of change to come through. Some people are able to work faster with less amount of effort, and people are able to deliver higher quality of experience for their customers and maintain much more control in terms of their financial growth and also business growth. So this uh, presentation today is going to be focused around what we were able to find as a trend in the industry when it comes to customer onboarding and offboarding processes. And this could be an industry inside, how is everybody doing it? How are the best guys doing it? Maybe that could help put something together for you. Okay. I will quickly run through the presentation, and I will also run through the process really quick. Just to give you a detail about Blackwater Tech. Blackwater Tech, we are a technology transformation company. We mainly operate in spaces where people are targeting business growth along the lines of mergers and acquisitions as their exit strategy. And mainly, pretty much every step or every project that we undertake is focused around demonstration of the business valuation figures, how they grow, how they are impacted. Just to give you an intro into what we're going to cover over the next half hour, I'm going to run through what onboarding and offboarding journey looks like in a general industry sense, how many people across the business are able to execute these differently, and what are the common factors or common touch points that people are constantly utilizing to streamline their business process. I'll show you one example of onboarding journey. I'll show you one example of offboarding journey. And finally, we'll look at the KPI. If at any point in time you want to ask a question, if you raise your hand, Teresa will be able to, she'll be able to unmute you so you can speak. Great. Without any further delay, I'm going to go to the next slide. So onboarding, offboarding journey, why is it important? As you may already know, there are many aspects of the business that kind of impact how we are generally perceived in the market as a business. What we do consistently and repeatedly kind of demonstrates how committed we are to our core values. One of the main reasons why most of our clients or people we spoke to said having a consistent process is important. First reason they gave us was it builds trust, and every single impression or every single interaction with your business demonstrates quality. The next item that popped up on the list was people say having a good process right from the get-go allows acceleration of time to value and adoption. There's also retention of staff, retention of customers, and also reduces attrition. Customers see transparency and they feel encouraged to share feedback, and that allows scope for continuous improvement along the process journey. Having a clearly defined process also gives you a strong control on your brand reputation, how not just one single person on the team is representative of how valuable or how capable your business proposition is. This further helps unlock insights and help you prevent any further opportunities that are not working in your favor. So you can qualify good opportunities, and you can also find your right customer fit. Finally, it also helps maintain control over operational and legal risks. So these were some of the main points that kind of popped up as we were talking to people for the research, also our customers in a general sense. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a quick example. Let's move to the next slide. So this is an example of an onboarding journey. What we have seen across the industry is everybody seems to have, depending on the level of maturity, there is a level to which the process has been segmented. From a general sense, everybody believe, okay, there is a initial contract, there is a initial alignment that needs to happen. So they gather that via emails, they gather that via conversations, meetings, they sign on a bunch of contract documents, it's done. What we've seen is some of the customers who are doing really well, they have a structured method of executing that. Number one, the kickoff meeting. So kickoff meeting, again, this is a scenario, pretty much all businesses do this currently, but the companies that are doing really well, they have a clear exit or task completion criteria defined for every single step. So for example, for a kickoff meeting, what we've seen, the trends are, there is a stakeholder meeting, all the people who are capable of making a decision on that stage are involved. You have the conversation, you're able to record the conversation, the minutes of the meeting, the decisions made and action items. And then when there's alignment and agreement among everybody, that is documented to indicate the kickoff meeting or that task completion criteria is fully met. Once the task completion criteria is fully met, when onboarding customers, you can then share a digital onboarding pack. So what I mean by a digital onboarding pack, this is a term I was trying to figure out how best to put together. The one that I came up with right now is the digital onboarding pack. So some of the customers or the companies that are doing really well, what I noticed is they have a fixed set of documents or a fixed set of presentations that they have as a package, which includes all the terms of engagement and all the method in which communications are going to happen. If there's a risk in the project, how the escalation is going to work, with a clearly defined matrix for what we call RACI, responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed categories. Some of the companies seem to go even further. For every single task completion criteria or every single step along this process, they have different people who are going to get engaged to sign off or approve or provide oversight in every single step that's in flight. So digital onboarding pack is what comprises of all of these information, and this is kept as a standard. And this document set is utilized and evolved across every single project as the learning within the group is increasing. So you don't have to start off with something really big. You could literally start off with one single page document. You could set all the rules in a very simple described language. And then it is a matter of making it better every single week or every 2 weeks, depending on how much time and capability you have available on the team. The next important item in the welcome and contract alignment phase is to do with compliance and due diligence. We all do this knowingly, unknowingly, or whether or not the whole journey is structured in a certain format. This stage for compliance and due diligence, some companies have a standard service agreement, SOW, purchase orders. These are standard documentation that we currently utilize. Some companies may or may not use all of them or may use some of them. In some cases, for example, in our early stage of the business, we were adhering to the MSA, capturing purchase orders, capturing other documents. We didn't see them as important. But as time evolved, we've seen the importance of capturing these bits of information in an organized format. I will get into the detail of that during further conversation. But for now, if we look at what does welcome and contract alignment phase look like, we're saying it's a kickoff meeting. There's a onboarding pack and there's a due diligence pack. So once these three are covered, we then move into the next step. In this phase, we're looking at the platform setup and collaboration enablement. What do we mean by this? So regular businesses, we are onboarding our customer, we have our contract signed off, the project start has been established. As soon as that happens, the teams are engaged, they go away, they carry out the service execution or carrying out the delivery of the job. In newer companies that are doing really well, what we've noticed is they are able to deliver transparency along the service delivery process as well. Instead of collecting questions or any feedback input items that we need from the customer, instead of collecting all of those for a later stage, having a meeting, people are able to flag these questions as and when they arise. So customer, no matter when they respond, you're still able to retain your velocity of service delivery. Okay. Now, what I mean by that, in this particular phase, we're talking about CRM integration, access configuration, training and orientation. CRM integration refers to let's say you have a system. CRM here, I'm not purely talking about a CRM system. So CRM could be a bunch of, let's say you have a ongoing, like a Word document in which you're able to add comments, you're able to tag your customers against questions as comments. In those scenarios, customer is able to look back, they're able to respond to your comments. You're able to manage your relationship with your customer using a system. Right? So that customer relationship management is what I'm talking about. So enabling your customers to understand what is the method of engagement, or how do they share input, or how do they receive input. Could be via email, could be via Word documents, or could be using applications such as SharePoint, Google Cloud, or any collaboration tools out there. The top performers in the market we are seeing, they do have a CRM system. The purpose of a CRM system is it is able to reduce how many times people ask the same question again and again. If one person on the team has already raised a question and it has been resolved, the chances of that being asked again is going to be reduced. Access configuration. Let's say you have a bunch of documents or any secure information that you're going to be using for this project, how and where that is going to be stored in a manner that everybody is able to access it. So when they are trying to respond to any questions, they don't have any technical issues. The last item in this phase is training and orientation. Training and orientation it doesn't have to be fully comprehensive, but if you have your method of engagement outlined, in your phase one as a digital onboarding pack, a simple a simple conversation with the client to say, okay, when a question arises, this is how you send it, and this is the person who's going to be directed towards, and this is the frequency or the service level agreement around that. By setting, if it is a high priority issues, let's say it's relating to finance or payments or something like that, you could set it a high priority, which could have a resolution of 24 hours. If it is a low priority item, say, while this project is in flight or this piece of work is in flight, you want to talk about another piece of work, right? You don't have to set it a 24-hour deadline on that. You can then say, okay, this one, a less priority item is going to be directed towards another team member, and we will get back to you as soon as you can, as soon as we can. It could be within 2-3 days, or sometimes longer, depending on case. Okay. So training and orientation is basically aligning everybody in terms of how we're going to communicate with each other, how we are going to take input from each other to factor in to the whole service delivery or the project itself. For the next phase here, we're talking about operational engagement. So customer was able to, the project initiation has started. Everybody is on the same page in alignment. You have your rules, your method of engagement defined. You're able to onboard everybody to your systems. You're able to show them how to utilize the systems in terms of giving you feedback or taking feedback or inputting into the project. Once all of these are complete, this is where we begin the planning. So planning again, every project, in a general sense, what we've noticed, I'm not going to go into much detail for the purpose of this presentation, but in a general sense, some of the best companies or fast-growing companies, what we've noticed is they follow a framework or a fixed operational model when it comes to planning a project. Some people start with what's called a plan on a page. They put together whatever they are able to think through in an hour on a page, and that becomes their plan on a page. And all the task list that they're able to produce from there gets split into as a result of further conversations with the team. Each task item, there is a exit criteria again. The exit criteria and also starting criteria. Exit criteria could mean, say, for example, I noticed most of the people on the call today, are coming from an accounting background. So I'm going to use an accounting example. So in an accounting firm, you could say, if there is a due diligence, let's say R&D tax return is going to be executed. For a scenario such as that, initially, there is going to be a bunch of information that the customer needs to produce for you. So initially, there's going to be a paperwork. So agreements are going to be put in place. There's going to be customer needs to produce a report on how effort was allocated across various projects and how R&D related task items were tagged and classified. So the milestone planning stage, you set the exit criteria for a scenario like that as, excuse me, for a scenario like that, you would say, if the customer deliverable, which is documentation of resource and effort allocation across R&D tasks. So if that has been handed over to the accountant, then that meets the criteria for the accountant. If the customer agrees they've shared everything they have, and the accountant agrees they have received everything they have, the exit criteria for that task has been established. So this is what roughly task completion criteria or task initiation criteria mean. So milestone planning, that is a key critical stage, having a structured framework defining what is the meaning of completion across every single stage, sets the tone for further conversations. So planning is basically producing that plan document that is going to allow you to align and also clearly know who is delivering what. Client communication cadence. What I mean by that, so in this stage, we have the plan on our hand and milestones have been established, and communicating these with the rest of the team members to be able to say, these are the expectations on this date. I'm going to be expecting person X, Y, and Z to get involved so that they can organize their calendar, and the client side of organizing is complete, and the confirmation as well. Finally, we have feedback loops. Now, this is a situation where towards the end, customer is already there. Customers now, the whole operations, the delivery has been triggered. There's going to be feedback that is going to be received from the customer, and we're going to be using that feedback to make any project variations or make any changes to the way we are progressing. Or if the change cannot be accepted, then we also want to have a plan on how we're going to escalate or take that journey forward. So this is an example of a customer onboarding journey, and I was able to look at what are the key special things people are doing across the market that we came across. Yeah. Similar way, I'm going to show you what an offboarding journey would look like. Okay. Offboarding journey, again, we have 3 different stages. One is project completion and review, relationship transition, and then continuous improvement. Okay. In a general sense, what we've noticed is there's a clear-cut closeout meeting. So when a project is completed or when a job is completed, there is a meeting to confirm that everybody, all the parties are in alignment that the project has completed. And documenting that event itself, minutes of the meeting and agreements there indicate everybody is on the same page. We have completed our journey on this project, and there are these other steps we're going to trigger as a result of this completion. The next step here is verification of the deliverable. So customer at this stage, they can agree that the deliverable that was promised as a part of this project is in fact delivered by the rest of the customer teams. So once a closeout meeting is set with the leadership from the customer teams, then the leadership from the customer team can go and verify and confirm alignment with everybody in their business teams. Once we achieve the state, there's a knowledge transfer. As a part of this project, this was what we were planning on doing. This is what we ended up doing, and this is the information around it. In some cases, it could be training material. In some cases, it could be some manuals, or let's say, there was a filing that was done this year, which would mean next year you don't have to include this. So any disclosure items that you want to set is covered off in the knowledge transfer stage. Following this step, we're talking about feedback and retention. This is one of the key aspects, which is feedback. Most companies that we spoke to were emphasizing on the fact that what made them grow faster was the feedback. So they get the feedback, they're able to factor that in, they're able to improve their process, they're improve their method of operation. Finally, we also have account closure. So we close account. This could be in our system. So if you're using Sage, if you're using any CRM systems, you have an account, you deactivate the account if there's no further business. But if there is further business, then you create other opportunities or other records to start a new project. Recognition and referrals. This is a point where you could ask how satisfied the customer was and if they know anybody that could potentially benefit from this, from a similar project. Analytics and insights reactivation plan. Analytics insight is finally, this is a stage where you are collecting all the information that was covered across the project and doing a retrospective thinking in terms of what are the key lessons learned, what was good, how can we do more of the good or the items that worked, and what did not work and what we don't want to do in our future. This is, again, aligning everybody in the team, but analytics and insights, collecting them is a big task in itself. Again, the quality of that detail depends on what types of systems do you have in place, and also how organized all the other business processes are. Reactivation path is if there's a repeat, if there's a potential for repeat business, how do you trigger that at this stage? So guys, this is roughly what I have from a really, really high level, from a general business sense, what an onboarding and offboarding journey looks like. Okay. To start out these two processes, or to organize these two processes, you don't have to be a large team. There are some advantages in starting it out when you are a smaller team, because it's easy to integrate your new team members into this clearly defined process. Okay. Now, I'm on the next slide. Here are some of the KPIs. Whenever we create a process, it is important to track KPI. Otherwise, we don't know where we are and where we're going next. Is it the best process we currently have? It's not possible to. I mean, you will tend to find that many players across the board would have different opinions on what is good or what is not. To be able to get a consistent alignment across how good or how bad, it is important to have KPI. Some of the KPIs I'm recommending here is, one of the turnaround. So whenever there's an onboarding process that is triggered, what is the turnaround on the onboarding process? Are we able to finish that in 7 business days? Or ideally in the market, some of the top players are targeting completion onboarding around less than 7 business days. Okay. Then in client satisfaction score, people are looking at achieving at least 90%. Now these are again the best case scenarios, but if you are able to track that in some format from the get-go, this will help you understand how you can do more of the good that you're doing. Offboarding checklist, again, having a fixed checklist and you're able to complete all the steps on that throughout the process, including asking for referrals. If a referral engagement is converting up to 25%, we've seen top companies are chasing a target of 25% in the market at the moment. So this is roughly the KPIs. Again, we're talking from a general business sense. So this concludes the slide deck that I currently have. I know we only have 2 minutes. I'm going to quickly show you my other a quick preview of some of the processes I was able to put together. So in our onboarding, offboarding processes, we were talking about how, from a really high level, it can be executed. But if you were to introduce a system, here's a rough outline of what it could look like on a system. So when you're introducing a system, you could split the flow. You are capturing all information so whenever you start a project, you're able to create your customer records. You're able to invite them to something like a portal, and customer is able to upload all their documents in the portal, and you can check in real time all the documents that are uploaded. And once the customer is uploading a portal, they're able to create an order, and then they're able to select what kind of services they would like. If you have a catalog, and they could then export. You could then export that into your SharePoint or any cloud drives. You can create quotes off the back of that, invoices, and also organize sharing all of your information, which would then create that interface where you're aligning with your customer on the onboarding journey. Okay. Guys, that's all I have for today. I'm going to go back onto the slides. I'm going to share the last slide that I have is a thank you slide. So if you like this, and I'm assuming I haven't had any questions today. So if you liked what you saw, or if you find this could be helpful for you in any format, if you want to get in touch, you can send us an email, connect@blackwater.tech. At the end of the session, again, over the next 24 hours, you should be able to see an email with this recording. You should also have some more information in terms of how to get in touch with us. If you would like to book a meeting, if you want to understand how a process can be tailored specific to your business, or if you want to explore what options from a technology point of view exist, feel free to get in touch. And thank you for joining again today. Have a good day.